Welcome to the Geeks, 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Ola.
This is Steve.
And tonight we're reviewing The Exorcism of God from 2021.
That's a title right there.
So for those of you who have not been with us before, we'll play for you our rating system.
This has a rating system in place that we like to call 0 to 0. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
An American priest working in Mexico is possessed during an exorcism and ends up committing a terrible act. 18 years later, the consequences of his sin come back to haunt him. Exorcism of God stars Joseph Barcel, Jeffrey from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and others. I don't think I've never seen anything else. So
I don't know who this actress was in the beginning, but I want more of that.
So Exorcism of God, Steve, you told me to watch this. I'll start this. I give it a sidekick. I kind of, opened up with a bang, and then it kind of droned on for a good 30-40 minutes there, and then it ended with a bang. So it's like it did okay. I'm not a big fan of the demon stuff. It's just like it feels like I've seen it so many times over. I didn't get anything new out of it. I guess that's where I'm at. Felt very familiar, especially because we did do the Pope's Exorcist this year and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a sidekick. It's just the actors didn't really take it to that next level. There were some cool scenes. I did like the prison, insane asylum kind of thing going on, hospital, whatever you want to call it. Like, it just seemed like it was like all in one place. It's just like everything was right there.
One-stop shop.
So that was kind of cool with the demon possessing multiple people and stuff like that at the same time. Yeah, it's just, again, it felt like old hat. I was hoping for something new.
So I'm actually going to disagree with everything you said and give it a hero because of all the things that it did do that were new. One, like you said, it opens up with a bang, and we can talk about it in spoilers, but there's a whole lot new there that you don't get to see in any other Exorcist movie. Not only that, the entire ending was new. It's completely new. Like, just how they were doing things. This whole one-stop shop with the demon possessing multiple people is new as well. So,
all right.
it's pretty much everything that you talked about that wasn't new was new. And then you have Jeffrey. You add Jeffrey to the mix.
I agree. I mean, Jeffrey was a bright spot. You know what? Maybe I just wasn't as engaged as I should have been.
I think so too. Maybe you need to give this one a second look, but I do agree that in the middle there was a little bit of a drag, but at the same time they introduce a really cool monster for the movie in the form of Jesus, and I thought that was pretty effective and kind of scary. It's a lot of fucking sitting up, gasping awake and shit. A lot of that, but I don't care because every fucking nightmare was pretty rad. Like, there was some cool shit going on. So, and especially like I've seen a lot of these religious horror movies, these exorcism movies, and a lot of them are just drab and kind of boring. And this one, I felt like not the same vein as the Pope's Exorcist. It's, even though there's like they're different takes. Like that one had more humor in it, believe it or not, than this one did. And like I said, the ending I thought was phenomenal from a story standpoint, as well as like just what happens in the final exorcism scene was just really creative. So, hero for me.
All right. All right. Well, let's get into some spoilers.
Spoilers.
So we both agree that it opened up with kind of a bang. Open up with
literally
years
and
earlier.
figuratively.
Yeah. Well, finger bang.
You find out by the end that a lot more happened, and there's a tape.
Well, of course, but there was some finger banging going on right then and there as well. So it was very, awkward seeing.
In the priest's defense, those were really nice.
Yes.
I've also never seen a possessed person masturbate to completion while someone's throwing holy water at them.
Yeah, it was a very crazy, very sexual scene that, like, I put it on second. I was watching all these movies, a lot of movies, and to do these recordings. And, like, the first one I put on before this, so depending on when this comes out, but whatever, was Life. Because I knew, like, there was nothing there, and if the kids weren't around, fine. And then I put this on because I'm like, oh, it's an exorcism movie. There won't be anything. Maybe some swearing because the demons always swear. And it opened up to this, and I'm like, oh, my God, I had to stop it. I was like, yeah. And then I remember me, I was like, what's that girl doing? And I'm like, oh, God, no, stop. And, then I'm going to go revisit. So maybe that's what kind of threw me off in the movie. Not that it was a bad thing. It's just like how I had to watch it. It's like I had to piecemeal a couple of early scenes before I got into it. But yeah, so this scene, I mean, like, and he's doing the exorcism. He was told not to do it on his own. He had to because he had to save her because time was ticking. And then you find out that he's kind of has a thing for this girl. I didn't realize this girl until later on was a nun, and it was. But
the story evolves and stuff.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic. He videotaped it, which is crazy as well. It's like
but at the same time, like you can
it all makes sense.
You can label him as a villain, but at the same time, like. A lot of things were happening. Like you find out later on in the story that him and this nun were kind of already like on that.
Well, they liked each other, but there was nothing.
Right,
nothing was going to happen.
Well, no, but then like he's there, he saves her life. She goes to make a move. He's like, oh man, like this is great. He just kind of gets overwhelmed with emotion, and in that move of a kiss, she transfers the demon to him. And then once he's possessed, that's when all the shit goes down.
That demon.
So that wasn't even really him.
Demon gets it in, yeah. The demon.
And then what? The demon leaves him or lies dormant for 18 years? I think
it just kind of leaves, and because what Jeffrey said something like the demon only leaves when he has taken something from you. Either if you bargain for him or he's taken kind of like your energy and your spirit, which he did because like he was living with this grief, and like it's why his prayers weren't working against the other the demon possessed demons and things like that, because it took away his I guess his view or his love of God, or God's love for him, because he sinned and he didn't confess. That's the other thing too, is like this guy was sitting on this thing for 18 years. And at this moment, we find out like because of his sins, like he runs this I don't know what you call it. I'm gonna try. It's not an adoption house. What are they called? Why am I drawing a blank? What's this called, Steve? This is where they adopt kids, where kids that have
orphanage.
Orphanage. Thank you. Oh my God, I couldn't think of Thank
you.
An
adoption house.
Steve, you weren't answering, and I was asking you that question. I was mumbling, and I could not think of the word.
It's an adoption house. It's where they rent out kids.
Where you go when you buy a kid? No. So the orphanage, he runs it, and all of a sudden, all these kids are dying. They're all like, and they all have these marks. They're all following with the same. But the doctor can't figure out what's happening. It's like all the organs are intact. There's nothing wrong with them, but yet they're all just kind of like succumbing to something. And the priest figures out that it's from his sins that it's doing this. And I kind of like that concept, right? Like he's been living with this, and because of his failure 18 years ago, it's like it's a curse that he's carrying with him. That no matter what good he does, it's not enough, and it's gonna, take everything that he's responsible for away. So I like that. Thought that was good, and then all of a sudden we find another girl who's a demon, and then we find out that it's his daughter. That his daughter is possessed. 18 years later, 18-year-old daughter. We see the girl again, and she kind of, gives him some shit because she's like, I had to leave. I had to leave town. I had to run away. And because who's going to believe me that I was raped by a priest? And I was like, ooh, that's rough. Like, even though she knew she was possessed and he was probably possessed, like she just gave him the what for. So, at this point, we get to this whole thing where like he goes to like the head or I don't know. Don't quote me. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, so I don't know who all these priests are. He goes to his priest, who's
the
his
boss priest.
I don't know if it's a bishop.
The regional manager priest.
Yes, the assistant to the regional manager of the Pope.
Michael Scott, priest.
And tells him that he was about to confess, and then he says, no, I've got this whole check for you. The Vatican's happy with you. We're going to give you all this money to help all the kids. And he's like, if I confess, I'm going to lose all this, and I can't help the kids, or I take this and just keep living with this. Because so he takes it, and again, another screw up on his end. This priest is not a very good priest. Not a very good priest. But then asks for Jeffrey's help to who was supposed to do the first exorcism 18 years ago, to get rid of the demon. And I like this part. I like when Jeffrey shows up and is like, he reminds me of Russell Crowe. He's telling some jokes. He's drinking some beverage. He's swearing. I'm like, cool. This is that priest. Must have.
So yeah. So I mean, this is where it picks up again. All this in the middle here with learning about the priest's problems and learning about the orphanage and all this stuff. Like, besides Demon Jesus, there's not a lot of highlights in this whole middle 30-minute section.
Agreed.
It's a lot of character development and a lot of story. When really, like, I'm just like, give me more scary bump in the night stuff. I really like scary Jesus running around fucking screaming at you and shit. Like, it's a really effective image. And then
I do have to agree with that. Like that, Steve, you might have me change my ring by the end of this.
I mean, it's just awesome. Like,
because that the Jesus on the cross that comes to life is terrifying. It is terrifying.
And I've never seen that before. Like, I've never seen Jesus depicted as some sort of monster in this way, and it's really effective. It's effective imagery. It's one of those things that sticks with you. Like, once you see it, you can't kind of unsee that. But then Jeffrey shows up here, and you're right, he does add a little bit of levity to the situation, but at the same time, like, serious shit. And it's nice that our priest has somebody that knows him from back in the day and kind of understands what was going on. That kind of brings everything together.
Yeah, and is giving kind of the rules, right? Telling him about like what to do, how to do it. And I even liked, they failed. They went in and failed. And I liked that. And I liked then Jeffrey kind of pivoting. Well, we can't follow the Vatican's rules now. We got to go on our own. We got to do our own stuff here because this is a different thing. Again, I'm going back to the Pope's exorcism. Like, it felt very Russell Crowe-ish in the character.
This came out first. Just saying.
No, I get it. But Jeffrey kept saying something. He kept dropping a line, and right then and there, I knew it was going to happen because he's like, "Do not bargain with it. Do not make a deal with the demon." And I'm like, he's going to make a deal with the demon because the demon's his daughter. Like, that's it. Like, the demon possessed his daughter. Like, this is how this is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
It foreshadowed that thing completely.
It did. It did.
The one twist I liked, as they're fighting through everybody here, like, you got these inmates in this asylum,
mm-hmm.
and they're all jumping and get some good jump scares here, and they're popping out of nowhere. I got this one
cool setting, cool scene.
Yeah, I got this one girl with a knife like flying out of everywhere, Michael Myers style. And she gets Jeffrey pretty good, and he's dying, and he's yelling at our main priest, and he's like, why didn't your thing work? He's like, you're carrying a sin, and he tells him, and he's he figures it out, and then he tells him his sin, that he bargained with that same demon. He made a deal, so when he goes to hell, when he dies, he's going to hell to be fucked by this demon. Because the demon told him when we was in that thing that he's ready to take him down, and he's gonna fuck him. And I'm like, what the hell? But that's what's gonna happen.
It's a horny demon. As evidenced by the beginning of this movie.
That's very true. This demon loves to have sex. So it's good. And then our main priest, repents for his sins via a video that he sends to the priest, and then goes off on a mission. And seems like he's gonna win, and then doesn't.
But this whole where he's trying to do the exorcism, and then the demons are exorcising God out of him. We cast you out, Lord, and all like that. It was nuts. Like, I've never seen that before. Like a reverse, the exorcism of God. They're exorcising God out of this priest. Like, that was a really kind of crazy scene where I was just like, wow, like this is nuts. Battling exorcisms.
But neither of them won, right? They were at a standstill.
Yeah,
either of them could get the one out. And
but it was neither of them. But it was only because the demons were doing that there was a standstill. Like, yeah. if they weren't trying to do that, then the priest probably would have won. But I just thought it was a really cool, nifty touch that I just thought was interesting. It gave the demons more sense of like that they had like some sort of plan. It wasn't just like, we're possessing you because we're evil and bad and blah, which is 90% of exorcism movies. Like, we just want to be scary. This one, they were like, no, we got a fucking plan, and we need God out of that body in order for us to make this plan happen. And it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and so the plan was to get into the priest's body and go and take over the Vatican.
Well, so the end kind of shows you that the priest is gone. The demon's in that priest.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the deal that he made, was to leave the demon to leave his daughter, and he could have his body.
Yep.
So
and then we find out that
that Michael Scott priest is also a fucking demon.
Yep. But his daughter
is now like an angel
guardian. Possessed by God. She's got blue eyes. So they're going to battle again in part 2, if that ever happens. But yeah.
Duel of the Fates starts playing as credits roll. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and he goes, he's walking to the Vatican, and it's saying like, no, where the demon doesn't want to take over heaven. He wants to take over Earth, or put hell on Earth, or something like that. So it was a very interesting kind of.
It kind of led up to like, I wouldn't mind a sequel to this. I kind of want to see where things go.
All right, Steve. I'm changing. I'm going from a sidekick to a high side.
That's okay. That's okay.
I think that middle part still kind of killed me. I think that's probably why, right? Like I was like into it, and then I kind of like really put me out.
See, if our priest was more likable.
Yeah, he wasn't a good actor.
But the problem was he was supposed to be all morose like that. He was supposed to be a big wet fucking blanket.
I get
that was his character.
I just
I know, but like that, if he was all jokey and happy and made us really fall in love with him, then we wouldn't understand his whole process of holding all these secrets and all this other shit. So it was a character decision that had to be made, and maybe he wasn't the actor to pull it off because he didn't have the right face that kind of lent you to have that kind of sympathy for him. I don't know, but I think maybe he might be your problem, because like The Pope's Exorcist was not a better movie than this. Russell Crowe was a better actor than
You're
this.
right. It wasn't a better story than this.
Fuck no, not at all. I think this story blows Pope's Exorcist out of the water, but the acting wasn't the same. So I get it.
I get what you're saying too. I get that. So, all right. Well, that's it for the Exorcism of God. This is Lil.
And this is Steven. Until tomorrow night, everybody, watch out for scary Jesus and keep it creepy.